Five Guys. There's so much Five Guys discourse all the time, so I thought I'd see what I could learn while eating some Five Guys. Now you know what you're thinking. I think that doesn't look like a hamburger. It's because I have a very special way of getting Five Guys, which I don't do very often because, of course, not eating beef is the #1 easiest way to decrease your carbon footprint. But when I do, I have to get it on a hot dog. My mouth is watering. I have to get it on a hot dog bun because sesame seeds upset my stomach. Because when you have ulcerative colitis, sesame seeds can get stuck in the bad parts of your colon and make it worse. So hot dog bun it is. They're so kind and they always do it for me. And then I give them an extra tip. But here's the thing. Five Guys prices are wild. And I want to understand why that is. This is Wall Street Silver, a Twitter account you definitely shouldn't follow. This is the kind of tweet that you see all the time. Five Guys prices are out of control. You see it on Reddit as well. One bacon cheeseburger, $12.49. At the end of this experience, you end up paying $25. $25 for Five Guys. And part of that's because you have sales tax, though this is very low sales tax. And part of it's because of the tip. So before the tip, $22. And of that, $12.50 is the burger itself. Regardless, of course, that people do keep going, which means that the prices can keep going up. So that's the main thing to know. Like if the restaurant raises prices and people keep buying the food, they're going to keep raising prices. But at my Five Guys, this order would have been $10.50. So I assume that my Five Guys is cheaper because I'm in Montana where labor is less expensive or something like that. I cannot stop wanting to eat this, so I'm going to start eating it because I bought it so that I could eat it on camera, and I'm so hungry. I've had nuts today. I don't think hot dog bun is the way to go. I think it's better. Mukbang with Hank. It's going to be a math mukbang too. We're going to bust out the spreadsheet in just a second. I will say that is not a bad hamburger. Freaking delicious. Fucking sheets. Time for a new sheet, everybody. Five Guys. So the first thing we're going to do is a cost comparison with Five Guys and McDonald's. And let's look up Big Mac cost. Well, that's going to give me the most expensive Big Macs. We're going to open up DoorDash, everybody. See how much a Big Mac is in Missoula, Montana. Big Mac is $7.09. Jeez. I'm not trying to figure out if hamburgers aren't expensive. I will eventually. Right now, I want to figure out if Five Guys is more expensive than McDonald's. A Big Mac, which is a double hamburger, is $7.09. And where I live, my Five Guys was, it doesn't say. Son of a bitch. We'll just use the picture. And mine, which was a little cheeseburger, is $7.49. But these, of course, are not necessarily comparable things. Like Big Mac is a double patty. This is a single patty. So let's actually figure it out. Let's do beef first. How much beef in a Big Mac? So we're going to have two 45-gram patties, which is going to be 90 grams. And the Five Guys patty is 3.3 ounces, which is 93 grams. Okay, so it's actually just the one patty on its own. Also, we're going to do calories. We're going to do cost per calorie, cost per beef, cost per B. 563, that's very specific. More significant figures than I think probably is accounted for. Actually says on this little thing here, calories in a little cheeseburger, 610. But I do happen to know, according to the DoorDash app, actually, that when you do add-ons, as I did, that adds. So as I ordered it, which didn't cost any extra, here the ketchup adds 30 calories, which is more than I would have expected. I got relish, which is 15, grilled onion, which is 10, and the grilled mushrooms, which is 20. So that's 45 on top of that. So now it's 685 calories because of free add-ons. And I want to eat it again. And I'm not going to add on the lettuce and tomato because that seems ridiculous. But I will. So 690. So one cent per calorie, and that's 1.2. Like we got 1.1 versus 1.2 cents per calorie. I guess that makes sense. Now that I'm looking at it, I guess that makes sense. And then cost per beef. So in grams, is going to be 8 cents per gram of beef versus McDonald's is slightly cheaper per gram of beef by 2 cents per gram. All right, so these are not as different as you might expect them to be. I was surprised by how expensive the Big Mac was. I don't know if it's more expensive. Should have gone to the McDonald's. I don't know if it's more expensive if you buy it online. The little cheeseburger is more expensive online. It's $8.99 online versus $7.49. So shoot, I really should have gone. Let's look up. Okay, that's the nice thing about spreadsheets though. So the average cost of a Big Mac in Montana is $5.19. So let's just use that. And now you see that both in terms of cost per beef and cost per calorie, the Big Mac is a heck of a lot cheaper. Now we're going to look at the big boy sandwiches at Five Guys, which is what everybody always complains about. So at my Five Guys, the cheeseburger is $9.50. The calories are going to be 980. And then we can add in that bunch of extra for the additionals. With McDonald's, they just have that as part of the calories, but with Five Guys, the add-ons are extra calories. And then in terms of beef in grams, that's going to be 186. That's just 93 doubled, which is a lot. And then we can do this. And so now with the big cheeseburger, in terms of per calorie and per beef, it's about the same as a Big Mac, which I'm not saying a Big Mac is cheap. It's $5.19. That's a lot more than they used to be. And that is certainly not the cheapest thing that you can order at a McDonald's. So I also want to look at a McDouble. So a McDouble, I think, has the same amount of beef as a Big Mac. Let me check though. McDouble patty weight. It's 2. It's just the same patty. So now it's 45 grams. Yeah, so that's a McDouble is the exact same amount of beef. Cost of McDouble in Montana. Here's my city. Is this actually gonna work? Price varies. Yeah, great. I knew the price varied. That was the whole point of what I just did. Why did I spend so much time on your website just now at menuwithprice.com? I'm fine. Okay, this is saying like roughly $2.50 for a McDouble. I think that seems fair to me, and I'm gonna just poke that in there. That seems like what I pay for a McDouble, which I don't do that often, but I do. And this is in the wrong spot. This should be in the McDouble slot. How many calories in a McDouble should be much easier. Calories, 400. So you lose some, but this is going to be our best numbers so far. Yeah, cost per B, very low, almost half the cost of B in a Big Mac. And then cost of C, also very low. It's the first time we've seen much deviation. So we have a 10, and we have a 9, and we have an 8, which is very close to the 9, and now we have a 6. So McDouble's definitely winning here. McDonald's still cheaper, and a Big Mac is clearly a luxury priced item for the store. Like obviously it's not a luxury item, but it's for the store. Big Mac, luxury priced, though I'm sure like the Angus burger or whatever like fancy thing they have going on at the moment is going to be even more premium thing to make the Big Mac seem not in the middle. Now, I will say that I did chunk down that little cheeseburger, and I am still feeling like eating more. It was 690 calories, so probably I shouldn't be, yet here I am. As I said, though, I did only have nuts so far today. Now, another thing that I think is pretty interesting is the sort of Five Guys fries thing. So Five Guys fries, $5.19 for a little fry. For a little fry. So this is going to be, I don't know why this says burger. This should say price. So the Five Guys fries, for a little is $4.09. So we're going to use me because I assume that this person's living in like San Diego or something where things are more expensive than the average place in the country. So for me, that's going to be $4.09 and then Five Guys little fry. Oh, it probably says on there. 530 calories. It doesn't have any beef in grams. So we don't have, that's going to be a null. And then McDonald's fries is 230 calories. Oh, that is quite little. Okay, well, let's just do it and see what happens. Because they cost like 99 cents, right? I'm 90% sure that a McDonald's small fry is 99 cents. So we're just going to put in 99 cents for those. And then we're going to see the cost per C. Significantly higher for a Five Guys fries. About almost double for a Five Guys fry. Woohoo! I'm interested though, but I can't figure it out because I don't know how to tell how much stuff costs. That's the funny calories in it for McDonald's. Okay. 490 calories in a large fry. Which is less than the little fry. And now I have to do the Five Guys large fries. How much is a large fry? What the heck's going on? How much is a large fry at Five Guys? Large fry at Five Guys is $6.15. This is gonna blow my mind if this turns out the way that I think it's going to. I know that I should not be this amazed by this. Five Guys large fry is $6.15. That's a lot of money for fries, but it is 1,300 calories of fries. 1,310 calories of fries. I think that probably doesn't matter, but I'm going to put it in there anyway. And what are we going to find? It's about the same as the little fry at McDonald's. To save money at Five Guys, you got to spend more. So I'm talking in calories here, but I'm not talking in calories. This is just a surrogate for the number of French fries, the amount of potato that you are buying. But that's what I mean, like it's the amount of oil and fry that you are getting. Those are the only things that you are paying for here. And I mean labor, but like in terms of like the product, that the value delivered to you. If you get a McDonald's small fry, are paying 0.04 cents per calorie. And if you get a Five Guys large fry, you're paying 0.05 cents per calorie per potato, per unit of potato and oil. This is wild. So if you are talking about finding parity between McDonald's and Five Guys, there's no way to do it with beef, because a McDonald's McDouble is always going to be way cheaper per unit of beef. So the cost per B is 0.02 here, and for the big cheeseburger, it's 0.05. So McDonald's always going to win there. For fries, you can get equivalent, which makes sense to me because they're a profit center anyway. So they just want you to buy more fries so you spend more money. That's just like a ridiculous amount of food though. Like obviously you're getting a large fry if you have a large family. Like a large fry is more than half of my daily intake of food. So clearly I would not buy that. And for $6, obviously that's not a healthy way to live, but kind of a remarkable thing that for $6 plus the cheeseburger, which is $9, that is 100% of my caloric intake for the day. It's more than 100% of my caloric intake for the day. And I'm not a small guy. Like I weigh 200 pounds, I'm 6'1". So that's everything I eat in a day. And like, so in that way, it's not that expensive. But I am fascinated right now by the fact that you save money by spending more at Five Guys and you save money by spending less at McDonald's. That's like totally different business model. The other thing that I think is super interesting is I think that people think that Five Guys costs a lot because they think they're getting a hamburger when they're not. They're getting a double. So when they're getting what they call the hamburger at Five Guys is a double. The little hamburger is a single. So when they're getting a hamburger, they're getting 2 Big Macs worth of beef, literally. And I think that this is like a thing in the sort of like new fast food stuff. So like Chipotle and like Crumble Cookies, like fancy places where you like go in. I think that they sell you a thing and you're like, that's very expensive. But what you're paying for is to some extent quality. Like at Five Guys, that was better than a Big Mac. Like no doubt in my mind. And like if I had gotten a double, it would have been about the same price in terms of cost per calorie and cost per amount of beef as a Big Mac. You have to cut it in half for it to be a Big Mac, right? It's like twice as much food as a Big Mac. So it's better than a Big Mac and about the same cost, but it's way more food. So I think that you are in part paying for quality, but in part when you go to these restaurants, you're paying to be able to eat more without realizing you're eating more. And I know this is silly to say when they got the calories right up there on the board, but I think when you tell me I'm eating a hamburger, I think I'm eating a hamburger. I do not think I'm eating 2 Big Macs. Maybe it's not 2 Big Macs of bread, but it's 2 Big Macs of food. Like it should be as filling as 2 Big Macs because it has around double the calories of a Big Mac. And I will also say that if you eat Five Guys in the store, you get free peanuts. Those are infinite number of dollars per calorie. And I always get the peanuts because I'm hungry. And then I also eat the fries. I usually don't finish the fries, but I eat the fries and I eat the whole hamburger. I think that Five Guys, their trick, and the reason why it works, the reason why we will pay more for Five Guys is because they aren't selling us just quality. They're selling us the ability to eat more food without realizing we're doing it, which feels good. Like it's an extremely satisfying thing to have a full Five Guys cheeseburger with 2 patties, 186 grams of beef. And so it makes sense that you would pay more for that. Like your monkey brain will pay more for that. It will think, am I going to go to McDonald's or Five Guys? Like I want Five Guys. And I think it's entirely possible that the other thing that Five Guys does, and this is why you see such wide variety in prices. Now, actually, I want to Google this. How does Five Guys price food? This is an article from 2010. Which I cannot read, but the Reddit thread says, our food prices fluctuate. We do not base our prices on anything but margins. We raise our prices to reflect whatever our food costs are. So if the mayonnaise guy triples his price, we pay triple for the mayonnaise. And this is from 15 years ago. And what I would guess is that has changed since then. And now the way Five Guys prices is they raise the price a little bit and they see what demand does and they balance that with their cost of food and labor. And so it isn't just a cost of food and labor went up, so we're raising our prices and keeping the same margins. I would guess, based on the sort of pretty dramatic difference in cost between what I'm paying and what I see in these viral receipts on Reddit and Twitter, is that probably they're just charging what people will pay. I might be wrong about that. Maybe they just do it based on margin. And the important thing to remember is that when you're doing it based on margin, 20% increase on a $8 product is more dollars than a 20% increase on a $4 product. It's twice as much of an increase. You do it in percentage. You don't do it in dollars. You don't say, well, we need to make sure that we make $1 every burger, so you charge $1 margin on every burger. That's not how it works. Probably Five Guys is like, we'd like to make, I don't know, an 80% margin on every burger in terms of cost, like food cost, and then have like labor and rent and air conditioning and cleaning and everything on top of that. Anyway, I did not realize how weird this. I thought this was going to be weird. Like, that's why I did it, because I was like, Five Guys food is very big, but I'm especially surprised by the sort of the inverse relationship between how to save money at Five Guys versus saving money at McDonald's. To save money at Five Guys, you have to have more people. So you should go with a lot of friends, and then you should cut the hamburgers in half. And then you are getting a very high quality burger, which is like, or at least higher quality than, I love it, than McDonald's, for less than a Big Mac per unit of food. And then you have to get the large fry, which is nearly the cost of the value fry at McDonald's. You have to make sure that you could split it 5 ways, and then you're each having a small fry. You have to have 4 friends to enjoy Five Guys well. And maybe it's just a restaurant for people with large families. Whew. The last thing I will say, Five Guys, way more expensive than Five Guys used to be. And this is also the case for McDonald's. But obviously the thing that makes Five Guys expensive is not that it is more expensive than McDonald's or not. It is that it is more expensive than Five Guys, which is absolutely true. So there was this banner inside of my Five Guys, and it said Five Guys best value. And I guarantee you that this is from 2006, when a Five Guys burger was $3.79. And let me just say, like, obviously there has been some inflation since then, but if we type in $3.79 into the inflation calculator, we are not going to get anywhere close to the current cost of a Five Guys burger, which is $5.83. So Five Guys has figured out how to charge more for their burgers, and they're definitely doing that. Like, those days of best value were maybe just there so that they could put a best value sign up in the building forever, even though that was from 2006, which is about to be 20 years ago, that's uncomfortable. 2006 is not supposed to be 20 years ago. So Five Guys, expensive, but in a surprisingly weird way.